There's one thing that every millionaire, every billionaire, including myself, did before we started making lots of money. It's not in any of the books. It's not taught by any of the success gurus. Probably one of the greatest kept money-making secrets of all time. If you want to change your income and your financial situation, change the room you're in. If we look at people that are very successful today, people that have a lot of money, people always ask, what did they do when they were first starting off? Are there some clues? Are there some common denominators? And the answer is yes. You become what you think about most of the time. The real question that I learned in the Brotherhood was, how do you get to think properly? Since you become what you think about most of the time, how do you get your thoughts thinking the right thoughts most of the time? And this is what very successful people all did when they were first starting off, which is a critical key component that created their success, helped them create their success. Back in the 20s and 30s, the phrase was, your income is the average of your 5 best friends. Now think about that. Your income is the average of your 5 best friends. The reason that was said back in the 30s and the 40s is because you spent the most time with your 5 best friends. That's who you spent time with. That's who you spent listening to. So you listened to, you heard speak your 5 best friends the most. You were in their physical presence of your 5 best friends. You actually watched their behaviors. What were their habits? How did they respond to people? How did they treat people? Did they talk about dreams and goals? You actually watched how they dressed. You watched how they ate. But that was back in the 20s and 30s when we actually spent time with our friends. If we take it to today, your income is going to be the average of the 5 people you spend the most time listening to and watching. And in today's world, who is that? It's who you're watching on your feeds, who you're subscribing to on YouTube and X and WhatsApp and Telegram and Instagram. What are you watching constantly? Think about what you're watching constantly. Who are you observing? What I was taught very specifically, and this was back in the 70s before the internet, it was mostly television, was, what do you watch on TV? We called it the boob tube. Shut the boob tube off, because I was told there's nothing on television, nothing back then in the 70s and 80s, that's going to help you. So you don't want to watch losers. You don't want to subconsciously mimic and model those people. So you don't want to spend a lot of time watching that. You want to be in the same room and watch and listen to people that have lots of money that are very, very successful. This way you will subconsciously mimic and model their thoughts so that you become what you think about most of the time. You'll start thinking like them. You'll start speaking like them. You'll start acting like them, and therefore your energy and your frequency is going to change, and therefore you're going to start attracting into your life the same thing that they attracted into their life, which is health, wealth, and happiness. Now, when I was in the Brotherhood, I was very young. I said, listen, my dad's a welder. Everybody that in my neighborhood is a plumber, a welder, a union worker, electrician. There's no business owners. There's no successful people. They're average folks. Who am I going to watch? Who am I going to listen to? Who am I going to spend time with? Oh, I was told, go and become a caddy at the country club. And that way you could be standing next to rich people, because only rich people could join the country club. So I was a caddy at Tedesco Country Club in Marblehead, Massachusetts, where I would stand next to and listen to the conversations of wealthy people. I saw how they walked. I saw how they talked. I saw how they treated one another. And I picked up their frequency and energy. All of us have an energy and frequency. We all. If I'm in your physical presence, I am picking that up. And then I worked as an assistant waiter, which was a fancy name for a busboy, at the nicest restaurant in the area where all the wealthy people went. We didn't go because it was too expensive. But all the wealthy people would go there. And I would go there and I'd see their cars. I'd see the Cadillac and the Lincoln. Those were the 2 cars, Cadillac and Lincoln, all out front. And I would see how they dressed, the type of clothing, their shoes. I looked at their shoes. Oh my God, look at those shoes. I'd see their watches. Oh, look at that watch. I'd see what they'd order. Lobster, thermidor. How much money is that? Oh my God, they are. And shrimp cocktail. They order the most expensive things on the menu. And then a big expensive bottle of wine. Oh my God. All of a sudden, reality Money, wealth, opulence, success, prosperity, abundance, riches, it became real. I could see it was right in front of me. It went from being a fantasy, from being a wish, something that was in my imagination, a dream. It transformed to physical reality right in front of me. Look, we knew this when we were kids. Our parents told us, you hang around those bums, you're going to turn out just like them. It's exactly true. If you hang around 5 people that smoke cigarettes, you'll start smoking cigarettes. If you're hanging around 5 people who smoke pot, you're going to start smoking pot. If you hang around 5 married people that are cheating on their spouses, you're going to start cheating on your spouse. That's just the way it is. If you hang around 5 people that have an income of 50 or 60 or 70 grand a year, you can't go beyond that. When you start hanging around people that have 2, 3, 4 times the income you do and start listening to them, that energy is going to permeate. You start expanding. You start believing that it's possible. People always say, well, you know, I'm following everything you're saying, Kevin. Good, give me your phone. Go to YouTube. Let's see what YouTube's algorithm recommends that you watch. That tells the tale. Let's go to X, Facebook. Let's see what the algorithm is popping up in your feed. What is the algorithm saying? They tell the tale. You can't hide. This tells you exactly how you're thinking. And I've seen guys, here's their feeds. I go, you're never going to be a millionaire, because that's what you're thinking. The algorithm is telling you what you're thinking. Someone was at my house the other day, went down, and I was going to watch something on YouTube. I wanted to watch a pool match. I had Mike Siegel with me, 10-time world champion, one of my best friends. He was in the room, a bunch of other people. And I said, Mike, I found a pool match that you ran 150 balls and out. You know, you had perfect pool. You ran 150. The guy sat there in the chair and watched you run 150, won the match. And I want you to dissect this for me. So I punched it up, and then it had the recommended videos. And the guy behind me said, wait a minute, show me your recommended video. What's the algorithm recommending for you? Well, there was a couple Mike Siegel pool matches. There was Jim Rohn, the great motivational speaker, a video from him. There was Les Brown, a great video from him. There was a couple Shark Tank guys giving lectures on how to become successful. That's what's in my feed. And I said, yeah, check your feed and see what the algorithm is recommending that you watch. That is going to tell you how you're thinking. When you look at wealthy people today, I mean, people who are making, that have $50 million, $100 million, and you go back and say, when you first started off, you grew up with broke people or average income people. Your friends were average income. You went to school with average income people. What did you do? And it's always the same thing. These individuals understood the power of being in the same physical location of individuals who had a lot more money than them, listening to the way they speak and watching their activities and watching how they act. So therefore, they went to places where wealthy people went. If you listen to Aristotle Onassis, who at the time was the wealthiest man in the world, he lost everything in the First World War. He was in Greece. He got out, went to Argentina. He had only the clothes on his back and nothing else. And he said, the one thing I knew is I had to be in the same physical location as wealthy people. He went to restaurants and he would be a waiter or a busboy in the restaurant where wealthy people went, so he could be in that space. Innately, he understood that when there are wealthy people in a room, their energy combines and it creates what Napoleon Hill called a mastermind. So it's really a bubble of high frequency, prosperity, wealth, riches, money, energy. That energy then permeates the person who's in the room. It gets you thinking differently. It gets you to expand your dreams of what is possible. You start believing in yourself. I remember I was talking to Josh and Matt Altman, the Altman brothers. They're very, very successful people. They have $1.5 billion real estate empire today in Southern California. They're the stars of $1 million listings Los Angeles on the TV series or TV network Bravo. And I was talking to them. I said, when you guys first started, you were broke. What did you do? They said, well, we were living in a 1-bedroom apartment. We were single guys, brothers. We didn't have any money. We innately knew that we had to be in the same physical location of wealthy people. We would go to Beverly Hills, go to a restaurant where they had a bar. We would sit at the bar. At this restaurant, out front was Rolls Royces, Ferraris, Maseratis, Bentleys, etc. All these rich people would be going there. We would order a club soda because we couldn't afford the alcohol. We couldn't even afford a drink, so we ordered a club soda. And we would just sit, and we would be sitting next to somebody who was wealthy, and we would listen to how they were talking to their other wealthy person. We would overhear conversations, and we were in a space where we could virtually sense the energy of wealth. And when we left, we were angry. If they can do it, why can't we do it? They're no different than us. We started dreaming bigger. This is powerful and magical. It works virtually 100% of the time. Now, there is a side to this, and that is this. Let's say you're the fellow who's working in the restaurant for 10 years as a busboy or a waiter or a dish boy, and that restaurant is filled with wealthy people. And for 10 years, your income never goes up. What happened? What happened? The answer is you weren't paying attention. You were in that physical room with wealthy people, but you were not, with deliberate intent, paying attention. You then go home and you go to the bar with your friends and have a beer, and now that's where you're comfortable. That's the energy you're picking up. So it's not just being in a place or watching and observing. It's doing it with deliberate intent. If you are spending time on the internet, listening to people watching videos who are broke, start associating with and being in the physical presence of people who make a lot more money than you. And even if it's a restaurant, even if it's any type of club setting where you're around people and you know that the people in that room, in that bar, are all wealthy people, just sit there and bathe in the energy. I had a friend of mine, I grew up in Boston. We have heavy Boston accents growing up. This fellow went to college. He went to college in South Carolina. Now, in Boston, we say, park the car in Harvard Yard. We talk like Boston. And he talked like that too. It's the way we all talk because that's the only thing we heard. He went to college for one semester, starting in September, in South Carolina, the South. He comes back for Christmas. We see him. Hey, Stevie, how you doing? He goes, good, how y'all doing? And we all looked and said, excuse me? And he says, how y'all doing? This is a guy from Boston. He doesn't say, how y'all doing? In just a few months of being around people that talked with a Southern accent or a Southern drawl, he immediately, subconsciously, without even knowing it, picked it up and started mimicking and modeling the speech patterns of the people he's around. Listen to speakers who are very wealthy. Watch videos on YouTube from people who are very, very wealthy. If you're going to follow people on social media, follow very, very, very wealthy, successful people on social media. That way, that's what you're spending your time programming yourself with. Next, go to places once a week, a couple times a week, where you can be in the physical presence of wealthy people. The simplest places are bars or restaurants where wealthy people go. And you know, there's Rolls Royces, Bentleys, Ferraris, Lincolns, Cadillacs, BMWs out in front. That's where wealthy people go. Sit at the bar like the Altman brothers and have a club soda and just be there for an hour. Next, join a club where wealthy, successful, positive, motivated, inspired people are members so you can meet them and associate with them. And then you can start developing relationships, friendships, or just be in the same physical presence of wealthy people. And then here's the bad news. Get rid of your friends. It's hard and it's harsh, but it's a reality. You're gonna have to find some new friends. You're gonna have to stop associating with losers. Period, end of story. Remember, you become what you think about most of the time. The way you change your thinking is based on who you listen to, who you watch, and who you spend the most time with in their physical presence. If you want to change your income and your financial situation, change the room you're in. It is the only step-by-step, totally complete manifesting or prosperity or success system in existence.
My income has doubled. I'm getting close to tripling.
That's the reason why people who read this and apply it are seeing such spectacular results.
I'm making more money than I've ever had, ever.
How much more money I'm earning and the woman that I have in my life is just miraculous.
These techniques work. They are powerful, practical, scientifically based, and have passed the test of time. If you want things in your life to change, you're going to have to change things in your life.
After getting your wishes or command, I went from 5K on my bank account to 8 million in 1.5 years.
Read it and watch what happens.